Ben Johnson's back, baby.
Yes, sir.
He is back. Now, Chris, you asked an interesting question because last year he did get a raise, and last year we did grab Jahmyr Gibbs, and then we grabbed Sam Laporta. I feel like I think a Sam Laporta pick was coming at some point either way. After you traded T.J. Hawkinson away, but I guess like I'll start with you, KG. Like, do you think there's any thing that was promised in the exchange of him returning as our offensive coordinator, or you think it's just off the love, or just not wanting to go to Seattle? Well, Seattle's a great place to go if it was on the table.
I don't think it's anything promised to him per se, but I'm sure Sheila will look out for him. And one thing I didn't realize is that he has 2 years left on his deal. So, I mean, he could. I mean, this guy is probably going to be a head coach. Let's just be real. If not next year, then maybe the year after that. But I think he was really determined to get this job done with the Lions. And it's kind of the same thing AG said. Like, he wanted to be the best Lions defensive coordinator ever. And I know it ain't got off to the best start. But, I feel like these guys are on a mission to accomplish something here with this Lions organization that's never been done. And then you think, if they do that, then that only helps them in the long run.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah, but I agree with you, KG. They're here for a reason. They're here. They want to build this. They have unfinished business in Detroit. They talk about it all the time. That was the big thing at Hard Knocks. They both said like, I want to be the best coordinator in the history of the Detroit Lions, and it's showing that. Ben Johnson's turned down now multiple head coaching jobs because he wants to stay in Detroit, because he wants to make things happen, because he wants to chase the Super Bowl, because he believes in Dan Campbell. He believes in the Detroit Lions, and he believes in this system. So I think it's a great not only point to Dan Campbell as a leader, Dan Campbell as a leader of men, and how he can get these guys to just keep coming back when no other coach in the NFL could do it. Like, you see, people leave Shanahan every year.
Yeah, it's true.
You got your offensive coordinators leaving Shanahan every year. You got dudes leaving Sean McVay every year.
Yeah.
Like Shanahan, they're in the same situation that Chase Super Bowls the Lions are. Mike McDaniel, gone. Like, that's what happens.
They're their own play callers, to be fair.
Yeah.
But still, branching off their lineage, and I think that, and I see my man Tanner Strand still taking interviews with Tampa Bay Buccaneers for their offensive coordinator spot. I saw the same for the New England Patriots. But it's like, if he doesn't abstain, if he doesn't get those jobs, I mean, you're still, I guess, training him underneath that tutelage, underneath like your lineage of like your play calling, which again is not Kyle Shanahan, is not Sean McVay. This is Ben Johnson. This is like his very own tree, rooted by his like principles, and then someone mixed with Dan Campbell's too. I believe they believe in similar philosophies. I don't think he'd return here freely based on if that wasn't the case.
Right.
Hey, man, it's a beautiful thing, and again, just once more to touch on the Hank Fraley stuff, because we're going to talk about Frank Ragnow and obviously Taylor Decker too, being here in such a long time. Those are pieces I'm not saying need to replace, but pieces you need to be prepared to replace, or at least in some
get
form
some
or fashion.
contingency plans for it.
Exactly, right? So it's like, if we're going to bring in young guys to eventually take over those positions, I'm glad that Hank Fraley's here to be part of that. I'm glad that Ben Johnson's here to be part of that. Even if Tanner Estrand does stay, like I said, I thought Hank Fraley was going to become Ben's OC just because of like the intricacies of being an offensive lineman in the Ben Johnson run scheme. Like, I'm glad we had the two people who was a foundation of it be here to learn these new guys, teach these new guys. I say learn as a joke. Don't want to take that and run with it in the comment section. But I'm glad that he's here for that. It's a beautiful thing. And again, it's worth it. If you guys want to pop out a shot of something, I'm down. Those did you ever find that?
Nope.
Skanks.
Yeah.
Damn. For real?
Yeah.
They got down on you.
Finesse me.
Hey, if somebody wants to
half a bottle of Donnie.
DoorDash a bottle of Don, take some. I'm down for it.
I'm down.
I'm
The
good.
occasion calls for it.
I'm good.
We could get him easily to take it.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
absolutely.
I got to work out.
This guy's got bad demons.
I do it. I do
All
it,
I do is break out the bottle. He's like, hell, all right, fuck it.
I got to work out after. I'm not trying to throw up on the treadmill.
Hey, who cares? We popping. You can sit here and cry.
I will.
I don't give a fuck. No, it's just a beautiful thing for the Detroit Lions organization, and I think as much as we wanted to speak of like sustained success, I guess what we'll speak about too is like, I think it's more tangible now. It's more realistic now.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Because you've got that same recipe coming back.
Consistency.
You've got that same consensus, that continuity in your coaching staff. The players see that too, so they're going to be even more dialed in. Like that. This is going to be the first time in Jared Goff's career that he has the same offensive coordinator and play caller and quarterbacks coach for 3 years in a row now.
Wow.
Yeah.
First time in his career. So that is just going to breed more confidence. That is going to breed more cohesion in the offense. And let's run that shit back. Frank, you can have my toes. Run it back.
That ass though.
I will give him my toes.
Yeah, you can have my toes.
Yes.
I mean, modern day technology, you'd be able to give him robot toes.
And,
at
like,
least 3D
I mean,
print a foot for the man.
I got size 14s, so like, I don't know how big your feet are, but it's probably a good match. You can have my toes.
I did
Take
see,
'em.
speaking of offensive linemen and the offense and all that good stuff, Justin Rogers put out an article where I guess Graham Glasgow's already been told that he's like a pivotal piece they want to bring back for sure. So that's your brother.
Smart.
Yes.
Shout out to them.
Shout out my
That's
brother.
good news.
Always love to see one of my family members getting paid. He deserves it, and he is a pivotal piece because of what he can do if Frank, misses games or decides to call it quits. He can move over and play that center role very, very well.
Yeah. And is that fair, the expectation of Super Bowl and or just NFC Championship?
Yes,
Like,
it is
fair?
fair.
Is that fair? Okay.
Absolutely.
Because we see them do it with the same unit.
Just think if they come back with a better defense than what they had and
That's
keep
what
this
I'm
same
saying,
offense, maybe even get better, because he's going to add more intricacies to this offense. You better believe it. And if they add maybe another weapon or two, depending on if they re-sign Reynolds or DPJ, man, there is no telling what this Lions team could do. But that's absolutely the expectation. Why not?
And then listen to Dan Campbell speak about like just I guess having that chemistry. You guys down with keeping Josh Reynolds now too? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Like, it depends how much he's at. If you can get him for cheap, bring him home.
do you guys think he's gonna bag elsewhere?
No, I don't think so. I think he could get more than he'd get with the Lions. Like, you go somewhere, if you want to get a $5+ million a year deal, I'm sure you can get that somewhere.
To be fair, I mean, he's been elsewhere. He's been most productive here.
Yeah, it's true.
But I guess teams don't always look at it that way. But I can't really speak for other teams. I've had to see what the Lions have brought him previously before, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell then, where we just grab a guy that was good at the Patriots and be like, yeah, well, he played here, so he must be work here too. And then we get him, and of course, it'd be fucking ass. Shout out to Trey Flowers.
Shout out Trey Flowers.
How about
Jamie Collins?
Yeah.
Man.
Man.
Thank God that's over.
They literally drafted Jelani Tavai because they're like, oh, the Patriots wanted him. Let's go get him. Then he was ass.
He's good on the Patriots.
Yeah, I was about to say he's a better player away from us. So.
Well, even Kyle Van Noy. And I'm not. He was like an initial guy to us. Like, we drafted him, but it's crazy. We had him with his teammate, by the way, too, Ziggy Ansah from BYU, thinking that's supposed to be the elite like pass rushing pairing, and just Kyle Van Noy was just unable to see the field for whatever reason.
Right, Ziggy was all right.
Yeah, Ziggy was straight. Man, I love Ziggy in his prime.
Just injury
I don't know
problems.
If his injuries, they kicked him out of the
It
league.
was
but,
definitely the injury.
He was
a
a
freak, man.
He took me $100 once. I used to be the valet manager down at Central Kitchen downtown.
Oh,
and he came in the spot one night, tipped me $100. He was a cool dude.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him. I had season tickets back then. I think it was like 2013, 2014 season. I remember meeting Ziggy, and like, I just felt emasculated, bro.
Man, he's huge.
He's
bro.
a big human being.
Man.
I gave him a ball from my nephew to sign, and I was just in his hands. I was like, bro, that guy could fucking squish my skull.
Yeah.
Like a grape if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It was like, it was wild. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, Ziggy was a dog.
Sue, too. Well, like, meeting Sue, I was like,
Yeah.
because you think, because he's heavyweight, you think a little bit, that's like all muscle.
Yeah.
That shit made no sense. I was like, what the, that was insane. No, I miss those guys. But as you said, a couple more defensive pieces, and we're talking about free agency here too. Hey, you might be talking. Hey, might be able to cash that shit. Talk that shit.
And if Aaron Glenn does decide to move on and gets a head coaching position, Mike Vrabel's still out there.
He is.
He is. I have this question though.
Plus, you get compensation, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah, you do get compensation. Yeah, I have this question when it comes like that because obviously Mike Vrabel's a great coach. It's going back to like what Dan Campbell said, the cohesiveness, the chemistry. I even listened to like Ifan Melifonwu last week. Was like, or last night, he was like, "Yeah, I mean everything down mentally. I got like another scheme now. It's just like, perfecting the reps.
Yeah.
Where you bring like a Mike Vrabel, that's a totally different like defensive style. Was there any concern, I guess, shifting or changing to that?
No, that's what happens. That's what happens. That's what you got to do.
It's changing it up.
Yeah, and I mean, well,
And that's if it happens.
yeah, if it happens, that's
Yeah.
what you got to do. If Aaron Glenn decides to take a head coaching position, that's what you're gonna have to do.
Is Wink Martindale still out there? I know he left the Giants, but I don't know if he signed elsewhere yet.
And you still got John Fox as a defensive assistant.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's
he
fair,
is
too.
in the
Like,
building,
That's fair too.
I'm sure he's very pivotal in the schemes.
I mean, obviously Vrabel's probably been my number one guy. I mean, did you guys ever like fall through and think of a defensive coordinator replacement for AG?
Mike Vrabel.
It was always the hope was always Vrabel, but
Yeah.
that almost kind of in a
Kelvin
sense
Shepard, I don't know if he's ready for that yet.
Would you take Riverboat Ron as a DC?
Riverboat Ron.
As a DC?
I wouldn't mind it. It was crazy.
Bring
too.
in Bill.
When Dan came, man, that'd be lit. But when Dan was saying this kind of thing, it's like it's easy to fall back into average. That's immediately what I thought about was Riverboat Ron.
Yeah.
With the Carolina Panthers going to the Super Bowl, came as MVP season, they just fell into mediocrity. And that's exactly like the example that I think Dan was pointing to. The Ravens there for a minute too after the Joe Flacco situation. They obviously, and they won it off a whim, right? They're like the road team in every playoff game up into the Super Bowl, and obviously win the whole thing. But it's like after that is like Joe Flacco was on fire at postseason, and he just never was the same. It's like I see what he's saying. That's why I kind of like. I mean, I'm hoping AG returns. I know there's a lot of people who feel indifferent about him, but yeah, I think he's finally getting the pieces that he wanted. You saw that, not that he wanted, but finally they getting healthy. Talking about CJ, GJ, and Afonso Melifonwu, like. I think that's all we needed. Plus, like AG was saying, we're going to add some pieces.
I think this is more likely because of Ben Johnson staying. Plus, I think you can now make that kind of promise to Aaron Glenn that you may have made to Ben Johnson last offseason about, hey, we got the draft capital. Remember, they have a full war chest of assets. Like, they didn't do anything at the deadline. They're in a great position to do basically anything they want. And so those kind of promises can happen, and obviously it makes sense. I mean, when you're looking at the offense for Ben Johnson, it's like, who would you promise him to get? Like maybe a wide receiver. Like offensive line is something that I'm sure Brad Holmes has on his radar, but I don't see him making promises for a running back and a tight end and all that like we did last year. The offense doesn't need that many pieces. The defense does. I think you can make that kind of promise to Aaron Glenn that, hey, we'll get you a stud pass rusher or corner or DB in the free agent, and then we'll get another one in the first round of the draft, and then that gives you a lot more to work with and makes you more appealing next year.
Yeah, and Wilson, he says comments. He says Vrabel's not coming here. Period. Stop living in fantasy land. I usually think of myself as a realistic Lions fan. It's one of the reasons I thought Ben was leaving. I thought it'd be too good to be true for Ben Johnson to return to the Detroit Lions. Yeah, he did. Today I'm living in fantasy land. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
okay. Bill Belichick might become our defensive coordinator. I'm living in fantasy land today.
And I don't understand he's not going back to a coordinator position. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens. Dan Quinn did it.
Maybe
Arthur Smith did it this year.
Schwartz.
Like Jim Schwartz. Just because you were a head coach once doesn't mean you're a head coach forever. Dan Quinn went to a Super Bowl and he went back to being a DC. Like shit happens, man.
Bada bing, bada boom, brought up the same point I said. I love Vrabel, but would you want to change the entire defense for a guy who could leave after 1 year for a head coaching job? That is a great point, I guess, in terms of changing the defense.
Yeah, if we have a chance at the Super Bowl, I would.
Yeah.
David Baxter, I wouldn't be mad at Shepard if he's ready. I'd be cool with Shep, too. I think Shep's a great coach. To be honest with you, actually, 40 Gumbo saying the same thing. Let me just read this comment. And Shep has done quite a bit in improving the linebackers area over the year. Yeah. Campbell has really developed the year under him. I agree that.
Shep is definitely a candidate for a DC position. I don't know if he's ready for that responsibility yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure Dan Campbell would vet him, but in the situation he would be in with guys around him, with a John Fox to oversee it, that would be a pretty good spot to kind of wean him into if you have to, because John Fox being over there to help him through it would definitely be something that could help an inexperienced guy, because he doesn't have many years as a coach, let alone a DC. So I love Shep, and I think he is definitely on the track to be a defensive coordinator in this league at some point, but I'm not sure if that's the route they would go. But if it is, I'm here for it, and we'll see. Hopefully AG comes back, though.